Welcome everyone. Join Ben and me today to have a restorative session, which is quite gentle and will bring the focus a little bit more on the hips as well as the spine. But primarily, I'd like you to enjoy this for the release that it might create in your back and your hips. You'll need a bolster, or simply use your rolled up mat if you just want to be on the floor with maybe a band around it so that it doesn't move out of the way, and a couple of bricks as well. Alternatively, a couple of books of reasonable size and of the same size as well. So we'll start in the constructive rest position, so come to semi-supine with your feet flat and your knees up towards the ceiling, to the feet being about hip width apart, and taking a couple of minutes here to just notice what it's like to be in your body today, and to give the opportunity to the lower back to release and settle. So start noticing your breath, how you're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, or maybe you're breathing in through the mouth and out through the mouth, or a combination. However you are breathing, just slowly start to observe. Observe too how you are feeling in your body. Any areas that need a little bit more attention. We're being gentle with ourselves today, restoring a little bit of peace and quiet into our mind, our body, and our breath. And so often when we do this, it's at the end of our more active practices, whereas right now we're doing this for the entire duration of this session. So over the next couple of breaths, bring your knees in towards your chest and start to hug them. And then maybe taking any movement that feels good for the back, so rocking from side to side or some rolls, anything that feels appropriate for you. And then release the feet flat to the floor. You're going to bring the feet to about mat width apart. And then on your next exhale, release the knees over to one side. So as you come into windshield wipe on one side, you might notice a bit of a release and a bit of a stretch. You're more than welcome to release the legs lower down or take them higher up. Or you could even take the bottom foot on top of the top thigh if you wanted to, and give an extra stretch to the top thigh. And we'll stay here for a few more breaths. Feel free to adjust if there's anything that needs adjusting. Or if now you want to take this a little further. And where your foot is really depends on your body. If you wanted to bring it on the thigh, you can take it across, you can have it on the edge. As long as this feels comfortable in your body. Take another couple of breaths here. When you're ready, you can bring the knees back through towards the center and then re-center your feet so about mat width apart, noticing that maybe your pelvis has moved out of place a little bit. And when you're ready, to take the knees over to the other side. And so again here, as you take the time to release and observe what this feels like in the body. Not comfortable, feel free to take a change in the height of the knees, or releasing the feet a little lower down or higher up, whatever feels good to you. You may even want to take the option of taking the bottom foot on top of the top thigh, gently giving a further stretch. To the legs and to the spine. Notice your breath here, if it's changed at all. Take another couple of breaths here. And then release your legs and come back to the center. Walk your feet to be back underneath your knees, hug your knees in towards the chest. And then with one hand on the knee, so corresponding hand to knee, you're going to take some hip circles. So you're going to inhale and allow the knees to come forward and out, and then in and together. So you'll take this about 3 or 4 times. You may start with small circles and make them bigger, or just keep to small circles. And when you're ready to do this in the other direction, so the next time you're going to bring the knees in and together, and then as you exhale, forward and out. Good. Now release your feet to the floor after your next rotations, and then extend the legs all the way down to the floor, and you'll also need to take your arms over the head, so you might want to shift a little lower down if you're by a wall. And we're going to come into Bananasana. So on this, take your legs over to the left. So take the left leg outside of the mat and the right leg follows it. Any amount so that you can start to feel this on the side of the body. The back of the head stays where it is, but the shoulders move along towards the left side of the mat as well, and again any amount. Should this not be comfortable on the shoulders, you can perfectly allow the arms to be separated into shoulder height, or even to allow them to come back to the side of the body. If you feel that your legs are that your left leg wants to come back towards the center, then you might want to take that left leg over the right ankle, so you cross your ankles, or the other way around, take the right ankle over the left leg. And if at any point you want to stretch a little bit more, then you can again. But here, do take the time to stay and observe as you're effectively here taking a side bend. Let's take a few more breaths. Take another couple of breaths. And when you're ready to take the arms back to the center, release them to the side of the body for a couple of breaths as you bring your legs back through towards the center too. Just observe how you feel in the right side of the body. And then you're going to start on the other side. So bring the legs over towards the right side of the mat, bring the arms back over the head, move the head and the arms, yet not the shoulders, so that you start to feel that little side stretch. So try to keep your legs reasonably together. And this will depend how much stretch that you can take. Notice too if this side perhaps feels more or less comfortable. Remember, you can also let go of the arms or take them to shoulder height, or take an extra stretch by holding onto the left wrist with the right hand and giving yourself an extra release. Let's take a few more breaths here. Couple more breaths. And then release the arms to the side of the body, the head back through to the center, and the legs back through towards the center. We're going to bring the feet flat to the floor. And if we so wish, we can hug the knees in towards the chest. And then using our bolster, we can take the bolster under the knees as we come cobbler's posture. So here, placing this of the feet to the floor and allowing the knees to open out. This may be the posture that you feel comfortable in. This will support the inner thighs. You could also be a little bit more flexible naturally and use your bricks, or if this feels comfortable, not have this at all. Would you like me to remove the bolster?
Yes, please.
And then come to your reclining cobbler here. We stay here for a considerable amount of time so that we can send the message to the body to relax. To the inner thighs, give those opportunities there for the inner thighs to stretch. Remember to use any support that feels appropriate for you. Remember too that at any point you can make adjustments. You could have the feet a little further away from you. Or as the stretch happens, you might be able to take the heels a little closer in towards your groin and perineum. You may have thoughts going through your mind. Are they taking your attention away from your body and from the release? Perhaps this doesn't quite feel like a release. Make sure that you give yourself the opportunity to feel a sort of release by using your props. Take another couple of breaths here. And then when you are ready to, you can start to bring your knees towards one another, whether you take the hands to the underside of the knees. If you have the bolster here or not, you're going to roll over onto your right side. And then when you are ready, after a couple of breaths, gently come back up to being seated. This will only be a transition so that we can take hold of the bolster and place it on the left side of the body to about hip height. So take it down a little bit. So here, if you lie back down onto your back.
Legs out?
your legs out for the moment. We make sure that the bolster is on the side here. Extend the left leg and then take that right knee over so that it releases against the bolster. Now, should this not be high enough, or if you need a little bit more support, you're more than welcome to have a brick underneath there. The arms stay out to shoulder height. And here we're looking for that stretch that may happen all the way here. Feel free to support yourself with more as we stay here for a certain amount of time. In order to feel comfortable in this posture, we'll want to have both shoulders on the floor. If this is not to be the case, you can release the lower leg a little lower down and perhaps even not use any support, simply be rolled over onto your right hip. And if it feels good, you may release the head to the other side and close your eyes. And again, slow down so that you may notice what is happening with your breath. With your body. And within your headspace too. Take another couple of breaths here. When you're ready, very gently bring the right arm and the gaze back through to the center. Right arm comes over, so you then flip gently, so turn yourself over onto your belly, keeping the right leg on the bolster and finding the front of the body against the floor. So this might require a little bit of adjustment there for you. Feel free to change the position of the bolster. Feel free to release the leg lower down or higher up. This is your practice, your body. And here we take the time to notice what is happening into the hips. maybe support the head further. If it's not quite comfortable to release the head all the way down to the floor, then you may have your head against your hands. You are becoming attentive to what is happening within you. Your breath, the feedback the body is giving you. Noticing of any changes that may happen. But maybe also noticing the chit-chat in your mind. Allowing this to happen, because it will. Trying nevertheless not to engage in a discussion with those thoughts, but simply to let them pass. As if there were clouds in an otherwise blue sky. Take another couple of breaths. And then when you're ready to, allow the leg that is on the bolster to come away so that you are completely onto your front. So you straighten it out. Stay there for just a couple of breaths. And then you're going to take your hands by the side of the chest, very gently come to a child's posture, but only briefly. So then you may lift your head and your torso gently to slide the bolster to the other side, and then turning back onto your back. With the bolster a little lowered down, so maybe midway point of the bolster to the hip, good. Then extend the right leg. Take the arms out to shoulder height and roll over onto your right hip so your left leg will come across. So you're completely on the side of your left, of your right hip, sorry, with your left going over. Again here, remember to aim to have both shoulders on the floor. Meaning that if you need to have the leg a lot lower down, or even the foot on your leg and the knee barely resting on the bolsters or your brick or your mat, then allow this to be the case. Give yourself the time to observe. Give yourself the time to accept. Accept the thoughts. Accepting the feedback the body's giving you. and give yourself the time to let go. Take another couple of breaths here. When you're ready, you can turn your head back through towards the center, take the left arm over, and then very gently slide the right arm under so you come to be onto your front, allowing some space in the hip. Allowing yourself to rest however feels comfortable, remembering that you may not even have the leg on the bolster anymore, the bent knee leg. You could move the bolster away, have the leg higher up or lower down. Rest your hands, rest your head onto your hands if you want to, or if you have a thin cushion or a blanket. Take another couple of breaths here. When you feel ready to release the left leg in line with the right leg, with the knee down so that your pelvis is parallel, to take a couple of breaths here. And then to bring yourself into a child's posture. And you're actually going to remain in a supported child's posture for a couple of minutes. So for the benefit of our video watchers, Ben, when you turn around please, so that your child's posture is your head facing towards the camera, and you take the bolster underneath you. Actually, let me bring it to you. So you sit back into your child's posture, and then you can use the bolster as something to hug or something to release the head against. You may have a block or a brick underneath as well, that's a possibility. Your head to one side or your forehead to the bolster, whatever feels good to you. Notice the lower back release here. After the last two postures that you did on either side. Take another couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready to, you can gaze towards your bolster, and we'll come actually to a down dog. So hands wherever they feel comfortable, come back to your tabletop, tuck the toes and come into your down dog. Your head may even rest on the bolster. You can move around if you want to move your hips from side to side, or walk your dog, or take anything, pressing the hands down to the floor, bending the knee maybe to extend the spine. Whatever feels good here, a little bit of an inversion as well as a little bit of movement, probably maybe the most strenuous of the postures for this restorative. Good, take another few breaths here. And when you're ready to bring yourself back onto your hands and knees, so bring the knees to the floor. Good. You can now slide to, or step to the side of your mat to bring that bolster towards the top of the mat. And we'll come to a seated twist. So come to the bottom of your bolster so that your bum's on the floor. And then you'll take your legs into mermaid, or maybe just in wind chill wipes, and then take them to one side. And then turn your torso towards the bolster. So I think for you, perhaps, Ben, step a little bit more out towards the left side with your bottom. Otherwise you might not be able to turn your torso towards that. Yes, in fact your knees a little more towards the left side. Yeah. So any amount that feels good really. Here, if this was not to feel so comfortable onto your side of the body, you could place a block or a brick underneath your head or underneath the top of the mat. You could also have your knees on top of one another. So here, Ben's right knee is inside his left foot, and that's comfortable for his hip, and his pelvis is aligned. This may not be the case for everyone, so you may want to readjust your knees as we come into this supported twist. Take another couple of breaths here. And then very gently, hands to either side of the bolster, to very gently bring yourself back up, facing towards the center. The head comes up last. Bring your knees up. And then when you're ready to, coming over onto the other side. So the right hip is at the bottom of the bolster, and you can turn. And nothing says that you can't shift your bolster from side to side to accommodate that twist in your back, if keeping the bolster very straight doesn't work out for your body shape. And remember, those knees can go any amount. You could even stack the knees on top of one another. Notice what this posture brings to you in terms of mental space, if it feels comfortable or if you're a little less sure about this one or more sure, or if there's quite a difference in sides. Restorative postures allow you to explore, to revive, to take the time. This is not to say that every posture necessarily feels like the nicest posture, just as our more regular practices of more active or yang yoga, if you like, where we have movement. Somebody's favourite posture may be a warrior one, and someone else's may be a tree. To give yourself the space to acknowledge how this feels in your body. Take another couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready to press the hands to the floor, bring yourself back very gently towards the top of your mat. Extend your legs. And here you may take hold of your bolster and place it underneath your knees. As we come into Paschimottanasana, now there's also another variation of this. So we could have the bolster underneath the bottom instead to then come forward, because this will tilt the pelvis and release ourselves. We may even use, a block or a brick here and come into a restorative posture this way, or keep the bolster underneath the knees. Maybe would you mind going back a little bit more towards the back of the mat, and then have this under your knees again, and then folding forward. Would you like a break or two? So you have option 1, option 2, option to use your bricks. And this is definitely less about the effort than it is about the comfort. So find that comfort for you. Notice your hips, your lower back. Is there a soft release on the inside? If you're finding this too much, remember to use your props, or to very gently bring the spine a little higher up so you're not folding forward so much. Take another couple of breaths here. Very gently and fold yourself back up. Take the time. And you can have the bolster to the side of your mat, as you're now going to come back down onto your back. And stay here for a few breaths, a handful of breaths, so that your back comes back to neutral. If you feel like you want to windshield wipe the knees, so take them a little bit from side to side, you're more than welcome to. And here we'll slide the bolster underneath the lower back. So here, coming into a supported bridge, so have your feet under your knees, remain on the floor, have your feet under your bridge, lift yourself back up. And I'm here to do this for Ben, but obviously at home this may be a different story, so take the time maybe to roll onto your side or to slide it. Now, could you take a little bit more into the front of the hips? If I shift it this way, oops, sorry, let's lift a little bit more even. There we go, release down. Does that feel okay? You could, of course, use your bricks, so just one flat, or just your cushions. And as you stay here, make sure that you feel comfortable. Just like in the previous posture, this may take a little while to get used to. You may in fact not want to be supporting your bridge, therefore not doing a bridge at all and coming away or placing a brick or placing a cushion that will just bring a gentle pelvic tilt. Take another couple of breaths here. Then bring your right knee in towards your chest. Hug it if you want, above the knee or under the thigh, and see whether you can extend the other leg. When you extend the other leg, there's no necessarily any need to engage the leg, so you can let it go. Notice how this feels as you stay here for the next few breaths. Discomfort in the lower back, you would bring the left foot flat to the floor, and if it's still okay to keep that right knee hugged in, then you would. On your next exhale, you will bring the left foot flat to the floor and release the right foot flat to the floor, and take couple of breaths. Proceed to hug the left knee in towards the chest. And if it's comfortable, to extend that right leg forward. This time on your next exhale, bring the right knee in towards your chest. So you have both knees in. And see whether you could lift the legs up towards the ceiling for a few breaths. If it's not comfortable, we should rather not have the heart higher than the head. Then you can release, let the bolster roll away from you and be long back on the floor and maybe the legs up. Or you can keep the knees in towards the chest, hugged in. We're not staying here so long, but you are more than welcome to stay here longer. When you're ready to, bend the knees, very gently release the feet to the floor. Engage your belly in towards your spine so that you can either lift your hips and slide the bolster out to the side, or roll yourself onto your side away from the bolster and come back onto your back. Now we are ready to come into Shavasana. You may want to finish the way you started, in that semi-supine with your feet flat and your knees up. You may extend the legs and allow the feet to roll out, or use that bolster underneath your knees, or maybe lengthways underneath your spine, whatever feels good and appropriate for you. You can turn the palms facing up towards the ceiling with a little bit of space underneath the armpits. Keep your eyes closed or close them now. And take the time to rest a little bit more. Perhaps in your mind's eye, imagine going through those postures again. You may have forgotten what they were already. You might remember one that stayed with you for how it made you feel in your body, or in your mind, or in your breath. Think of those postures like the furling and unfurling of the sea waves. As you opened and closed, stretched, extended and flexed your body, your hips, your spine, just like those waves of the sea. Maybe you can hear them in your mind's eye to feel the warmth of the sun on the beach, the sand, the sea. As you rest, your body, your mind, your breath. Some more. Perhaps you'd like to stay here a little longer. Perhaps you are ready to bring the awareness of your senses back into your body. To wiggle your toes, your fingertips, your ankles and your wrists, to allow the movements to make their way up into your spine, into your legs, eventually taking any movement that feels comfortable. So that you can roll over onto one side, curled up. You can open your eyes. Slowly bring yourself back up into a comfortable seated posture. Notice how you're feeling right now. Take your palms together, thumbs in towards your heart space. Bow your gaze towards your fingertips. Namaste. I salute you. Thank you.